All right, entrepreneurs, small business owners, investors everywhere. We have a special guest for you on the Seven Figures Club podcast. Someone who's going to open your mind to different possibilities when it comes to real estate investments and business models you may not have considered, but that have so much potential and opportunity that's only going to be getting hot over the next 10 to 20 years. We have Serge. And Serge, how do we say your last name right? I want to say it right.
Lupescu.
Lupescu. Okay, Lupescu. He is the former owner and manager of Legion Manor LLC, where he owned and operated his own residential assisted living facility. He started working in the healthcare industry as a CNA in 2014 all the way to 2017. He graduated from Southwest Baptist University with his nursing degree in 2017 and then opened his own residential assisted living facility in 2018. He has an amazing YouTube channel. I definitely recommend you follow that. He is on the board of directors of the Arizona Assisted Living Homes Association, serving as the marketing co-chair and advocating for operators. And he also runs his own academy called Legion Assisted Living Academy, which is designed to help individuals with the same common interest and goals of opening their very own residential assisted living facility. Serge, super excited to have you on the show. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for having me on. You forgot one part though.
Oh, what did I forget?
The syndication, Valley ALF Ventures. That's
there we go.
A lot of people will have a lot of interest in that because that's the real estate component of everything we do now. So
no question. So you are co-founder, co-owner of Valley ALF Ventures, and the ALF stands for Assisted Living Facilities.
Correct. Yeah. I just asked them about their lives. What could they do differently? What would they do differently? And all of them told me, Serge, get out of nursing. Don't even.
No kidding.
I'm not lying to you. I know a lot of people would be shocked to hear that. And I'm like, well, how come you guys did it? And they're like, Serge, you get a mortgage, you start having kids. And essentially they admitted that they got trapped in the rat race.
Oh my goodness.
And so that really helped me out a lot, right? I was very observant to that and very willing to like hear them out. And I started thinking, okay, I don't want that for my life. Like I, in a way, saw my future in them of how things would play out. And that is when I realized I would have multiple conversations with other colleagues that were younger, that were trying to do some side stuff, whether it was real estate or other businesses. And that's where the entrepreneurship kind of kicked in for me, like the bug of like, or even the thought of like, I need to create something for myself. And lo and behold, that fire just kept on growing and growing. And by the time I graduated nursing school, I had a job. I had multiple interviews lined up in the ER, in multiple ICUs. Ultimately, I verbally committed to the neurotrauma ICU I was working in. And there's that fire, that intuition in me saying, you got to go a different path. You have something bigger out there waiting for you. And with God's help, I'm a man of faith. And so with God's help, I ended up saying, all right, well, what can I do with this degree I just worked so hard for? And it only made sense, logical sense, to get into the assisted living space. 22 when I graduated nursing school. And this was at the end of 2017, like you mentioned in the beginning. So I was single, no kids, no obligations. So I said, if I'm going to do it, now is the time to do it. Yes. I'm single. I have no obligations. I'm free to just move where I need to move, make the decisions I need to make. And so that's what I did. I ended up coming out here to Arizona during right before my graduation on Christmas break to take a couple tours of a couple facilities out here. In Arizona just naturally gravitated to me. And it was just an area I'm like, I knew of a lot of people doing this business out here. I just didn't know exactly the process. And again, uncertainty. And I wasn't quite sure of what I needed to do, but I knew I needed to move out here and just get things rolling. So that's what I did. I came out here and then I went back home, pretty much packed up all my stuff and moved out to Arizona. And I didn't have necessarily a place to live just yet. And there's a whole like kind of backstory, but to make a long story short, ended up finding a home that I could lease for an assisted living. And it was a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. And it had previously been licensed as an assisted living, but it was vacant. It was like half furnished. So was like, well, that's perfect. I'll just live there and just get the business going. Like as soon as I get the business up and running, I'll move out and get an apartment, whatever. So
Yeah.
that's what I did. And so I had the place leased out and then got out here, started to get the ball rolling, started furnishing the place.
Question that a lot of the audience is probably having right now is, so you started this assisted healthcare, living business facility. And so you leased it out, which is great. You didn't have to buy the property. A lot of people think they probably have to buy the property. You leased it out, you signed a lease agreement. And then how did you actually find residents for the assisted living facility?
Yeah, great question. So the operation side of it, I know a lot of people always have questions on that, but the way I went about it, I actually hosted an open house. So I just went around and just networked as much as I could with different hospices, liaisons, different like skilled nursing facilities, their case managers, placement agents, anybody that I could try to like talk to and, whatever I could do, I would go to like the most random stuff like that had to do with senior, care and care homes. Like I would just go to everything and anything that I possibly could go to and just network as much as I could. And so as soon as I had my home open, I probably had about 20, 30 people show up at the open house. And within the first week, I got my very first client from a placement agent. And it was a very difficult client, but that's how it usually goes when you first open up. You don't get the, really top paying clients until after you prove yourself in a way. For me, I was very fortunate, even though I was very young, I was 22, I had my nursing degree. And so that really helped with the trust.
That is nice. Yeah.
So anytime I would do tours and families would see like, you're pretty young. Are you the caregiver or, and I'm like, no, I'm the manager here. And, I have my nursing degree and they love that. They're like, okay, we can see that you're going to really put in the effort to take care of mom or dad or grandma and grandpa. So
I feel like your experience of spending all that time in the hospital as a kid and overcoming cancer, I feel like that gives you a lot of special credibility too, that others just wouldn't have.
It does, because there would be certain family members or even clients that I would get that either may have been going through some treatment or maybe was experiencing that. So for me, I'm like, hey, look, I've been there. I know what that's like. So they did appreciate that too, for sure.
So that's a 7-figure secret that Serge just shared with you guys. So if you're on the treadmill or you're driving around, you might want to take a quick note here, send yourself a text with this message. Basically, marketing comes down to who has my clients. Who's got my dream client that I want to work with? And Serge is like, oh, all these other providers who are already working with my potential client resident. I just need to build relationships with them and then they'll refer them to me. And that's how it's done. And that's how I built our business here at 7 Figures Funding up to an 8-figure business. 90% of our leads come from strategic referral partners that we work with. And so it doesn't matter what business you're in, who already has your clients. Instead of spending a fortune on marketing, you didn't have that option. I didn't have that option when I started this business. So you go and build relationships and referral networks. And that's how you can build a business and build it very profitably without going bankrupt with marketing that oftentimes doesn't work. So huge value bomb there. Thanks for sharing that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think this is a people business. Like it's 100% about going and meeting people and handshakes, and because you're dealing with people, and it's not as simple as throwing a Facebook ad together and being like, oh yeah, hey, I did get leads off of like my Google and stuff, but that wasn't where majority of my business came from. It always came from these other individuals that I networked with and that had access to these different referrals, whether it came from skilled nursing facilities or wherever they came from. Right. So again, they were working with families. They have to feed their pipeline too. So they're doing a lot of the legwork that I now don't have to. Yeah, I pay them a referral fee or whatever.
You're darn right you do.
But again, that marketing money's got to be put somewhere. And I know it's guaranteed when I pay a placement agent they come in, right? Like it's a guaranteed lead. It's not like I'm paying them ahead of time with maybe I'll get some results, So but that's how I started, and as as I continue to take on more another thing that kind of made me more different in a way was I was comfortable taking the harder cases because, again, I had that healthcare background. I knew about catheter care. I knew about all these different types of diagnosis and different types of treatments that they were going through and wound care and different things, right? So I was like, sure, I'll take that person with the bed sore. I'll take that person with the catheter and maybe a trach tube. And, because I was like, dude, I worked in the ICU for years, right? And so for me, I was like, bring it on, and then that's how I started taking on those harder clients that paid more. And these people that were referring them to me were like, all right, well, Serge is the guy. Like, send them to Serge. Serge will probably, if he's got vacancy, he'll probably take them, So that's kind of how I also built my reputation. And then it did help at one point, my YouTube. People would always be like, dude, you're that YouTube guy, right? Like anytime I go to these different networking meetings. So that started, as that started growing, that started helping. And I think people should just get creative, use certain experiences in your life, certain things that make you stand out and make you different, and utilize that to your advantage. And you'd be surprised how many people will be like, I know of him. Yeah. Because of this. Right. And so that's really what made me stand out. And again, I was young. And so people would be like, yeah, Serge is young, that young guy, right? That young guy. And like that helped and worked to my advantage. I didn't give myself an excuse that I'm young. Right. That's why I'm not successful. That's why I can't get clients, because I'm young. That had nothing to do with it. I was like, well, I am young. That's a fact, but I'm going to use that to my advantage. How can I make myself stand out, even though I'm young? So that's probably something else for the audience to consider too.
And then, Serge, what's the final word you want to leave with the audience today?
Oof. Yeah. I mean, I would tell people like everything you just said. I think one thing I'm obviously always like notice with individuals is just be willing to always be willing to learn. Like that's one thing for me. I always want to be willing to learn. Also, don't be afraid to network with individuals who are just doing a lot bigger things than you. You are far more capable of achieving the things that you otherwise probably would have never thought you could achieve. When I started that little small 5-bed facility in Mesa, Arizona in 2018, if you would have told me then that this is where I'd be now, 5 years later,
5 years,
I would have laughed at you. I would have been like, you're crazy. Like, there's no way. But it was the belief that like one day I'll get there. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it. You may not be sure how you're going to do it. You know what I mean? So just be willing to think big, be willing to push your boundaries. I know everybody's situation is complete. I have kids now, and I'm married now, and I know the obligations I have, and it's not as simple as, yeah, that sounds easier. It's easier said than done, right? But don't be afraid to dream bigger. Don't be afraid of your own capability, and one thing I'd leave you guys with, I mean, I love listening to podcasts, but there's one guy, he always says, Andy Frisella, he always says, personal excellence is the ultimate rebellion.
Amen.
So be the best version that you can be every single day, work towards those goals, work towards those dreams, and you'd be surprised where you find yourself if you diligently do it every single day in 5, even 3 to 5 years, 10 years, wherever, but you'll be surprised where you find yourself. You cannot expect your life to change. Like, nothing changes if nothing changes. Like, if you expect doing what you normally do every single day and expect a different outcome, no, that will never happen. So just be willing to push yourself, make the changes you need to make day by day, little by little, and you'll realize I would say it's all worth it. Everything I had to go through was 150% worth it. I had no regrets. And yeah, I mean, I think that's what I'll leave it with. And yeah, hopefully that inspires some people.